Welcome to this exploration of one of the most powerful mindset shifts available to us. Learning to act as if you're already successful, guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. I'm honored to be your companion on this journey over the next 1 hour. The concept we're exploring today, acting as if you're already successful, might initially sound like something from a modern self-help book. But its roots extend back almost 2,000 years to the Stoic philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome. They understood something profound about human psychology, that our actions shape our reality as much as our reality shapes our actions. As Epictetus, the former slave who became one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." This simple yet profound statement encapsulates what we'll be exploring today. Success, from the Stoic perspective, is not about external validation, wealth, or status, though these things may come. True success lies in living virtuously, in accordance with nature, and developing inner excellence, regardless of external circumstances. Our journey today will unfold in several parts. First, we'll establish what success truly means from a Stoic perspective, challenging modern misconceptions that often lead to suffering. Next, we'll explore the powerful psychological principle of acting as if and understand why it works from both ancient philosophical and modern scientific perspectives. We'll then dive into practical Stoic techniques for embodying success before it materializes externally, examining how values like courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom guide this process. We'll address the inevitable challenges you'll face when adopting this mindset, from resistance to setbacks to the impostor syndrome that often accompanies growth. Finally, we'll explore how to sustain this mindset for the long term, integrating it into your daily life through practical habits and routines. Throughout our discussion, we'll draw on the wisdom of great Stoic thinkers, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, Musonius Rufus, and others, while connecting their insights to modern psychology, neuroscience, and practical examples that make these ancient ideas relevant to your life today. This isn't about positive thinking or mere visualization. The Stoic approach is far more substantial. It's about aligning your actions with your highest ideals and living virtuously regardless of outcomes. It's about internal success that eventually manifests externally. So let us begin this journey together, exploring how to act as if you're already successful, not as a technique of deception, but as a profound philosophy of authentic living. Part 1. Redefining success through a Stoic lens. The modern misconception of success. When we speak of success in today's world, what images come to mind? Perhaps a well-dressed executive in a corner office, a celebrity walking the red carpet, or someone lounging on a yacht in crystal blue waters. Our culture bombards us with these external symbols of achievement: wealth, status, power, fame, and material abundance. Yet the ancient Stoics would view our modern definition of success with considerable skepticism, even pity. As Seneca, who himself was one of Rome's wealthiest men, warned, "It is not the man who is too little, but the man who craves more who is poor." The conventional view of success creates 3 significant problems that the Stoics identified thousands of years ago. First, it places the locus of control outside ourselves. When success depends on external validation, we surrender our happiness to forces beyond our influence: market fluctuations, others' opinions, or simple luck. Second, it creates an endless treadmill of desire. Once we achieve one external marker of success, the goalposts inevitably shift. The promotion gives way to wanting an even higher position. The luxury car creates desire for an even more exclusive model. Third, and perhaps most problematically, it divorces success from virtue. When external achievement becomes our sole focus, we may compromise our principles, neglect our character, and sacrifice what the Stoics considered most important: our integrity and inner tranquility. As Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, reminded himself, how much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it. He understood that sacrificing your character for external gain leads to a hollow victory. The Stoic definition of success: So if the Stoics rejected our modern notion of success, what did they consider success to be? For the Stoics, true success was eudaimonia, a Greek word often translated as happiness, but better understood as flourishing or living well. This flourishing comes not from external achievements, but from developing arete, excellence of character. The successful person, from a Stoic perspective, is one who cultivates the cardinal virtues: wisdom, Sophia, good judgment and perspective on what truly matters; courage, Andrea, facing life's challenges with fortitude and resilience; justice, dikaiosun, treating others with fairness and compassion; temperance, sophrosyne, moderation and self-mastery in all things. Epictetus captured this perspective perfectly. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Success for a Stoic is not about getting everything you desire, but mastering your desires themselves. This doesn't mean Stoics rejected wealth, recognition, or achievement. Rather, they classified these as preferred indifference, things that might be nice to have but are not essential for eudaimonia. They recognized that a good person could make good use of prosperity, but prosperity itself didn't make someone good. As Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius, "I regard a person who has wealth as happy, but the person who is understanding of how to use wealth is even happier." External success can amplify your ability to do good in the world, but only if you've developed the wisdom to use it well. The dichotomy of control, central to the Stoic redefinition of success, is what Epictetus called the dichotomy of control, the crucial distinction between what is up to us and what is not. In his Enchiridion, or handbook, Epictetus begins with this foundational principle: some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing. True success, then, focuses exclusively on what is within our power: our judgments, efforts, intentions, and character. The outcomes of our actions, how others receive them, what rewards they bring, what circumstances they encounter. These are not entirely up to us. This is why the Stoics emphasize that virtue is sufficient for happiness. If success depends only on what is within our control, and virtue is within our control, then success is accessible to anyone willing to cultivate excellence of character, regardless of external circumstances. Consider Epictetus himself, a man born into slavery with a permanent disability from broken leg, who nevertheless became one of history's most influential philosophers. By focusing on what was within his control, his mind, his character, his philosophical insight, he achieved true success despite external limitations that would have defeated most people. The success identity. What does this redefinition mean for our topic of acting as if you're already successful? It means that from a Stoic perspective, success is not something you'll achieve someday after enough hard work, luck, or recognition. Success is available now, today, through your commitment to virtue and excellence in this very moment. The person who acts virtuously is already successful, regardless of whether the world recognizes it yet. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This perspective creates what we might call a success identity, based on internal qualities rather than external markers. Instead of saying, "I'll be successful when I'm wealthy," the Stoic says, "I'm successful when I use what I have virtuously." Instead of, "I'll be successful when others admire me," the Stoic says, "I'm successful when I'm worthy of my own self-respect." By locating success in your character rather than circumstances, you gain an unshakable foundation that no external event can disturb. This is precisely what allowed Stoics like Seneca to maintain equanimity when exiled from Rome, or Marcus Aurelius to preserve his humanity while commanding armies. Redefining success in your own life. Before we move forward, I invite you to take a moment and reflect on your own definition of success. What does success mean to you? What images, achievements, or states of being do you associate with it? Now, consider how you might redefine success in Stoic terms. If wealth is part of your vision of success, how might you focus instead on using what you already have with wisdom and generosity? If recognition motivates you, how might you concentrate on being worthy of honor rather than receiving it? If influence matters to you, how might you develop your character to be a person naturally worth following? If achievement drives you, how might you focus on the excellence of your effort rather than its results? This redefinition isn't about lowering your aspirations. The Stoics weren't passive or unambitious. They included senators, business leaders, and even an emperor. Rather, it's about locating your ambition in what truly matters and what truly lasts: your character, your virtues, and your contribution to the human community. As we'll explore in the next section, when you begin to act from this success identity, focusing on what's within your control and embodying virtue in the present moment, you create a powerful psychological foundation that often leads to external achievements as well. But even more importantly, you free yourself from anxiety, comparison, and insatiability that plagues so many who chase conventional success. Brief musical interlude. Part 2. The psychology of acting as if. The power of acting as if. Ancient wisdom and modern science. The principle of acting as if long predates modern psychology. The ancient Stoics understood that our actions and attitudes create feedback loops that shape our reality. Epictetus advised his students, "Wish to be called a philosopher not merely in words but in your deeds." He understood that philosophy wasn't just about thinking differently, but about embodying those thoughts in action. The word ethics itself comes from the Greek ethos, referring to character or habit, the pattern of actions that define us. In modern psychology, this principle has been validated through numerous avenues. William James, the father of American psychology, wrote in 1890, "If you want equality, act as if you already had it." He observed that emotions often follow actions rather than preceding them. By acting courageously, we become courageous. By acting kindly, we become kind. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of today's most effective therapeutic approaches, similarly recognizes that changing behaviors can change thoughts, which then change feelings. Reversal of how we typically imagine the process works. Neuroplasticity research shows that repeated actions create new neural pathways, literally reshaping our brains to make those actions more natural over time. As the neuroscience adage goes, neurons that fire together wire together. Social psychology research on embodied cognition demonstrates that our physical states influence our mental states. Something as simple as adopting a confident posture actually changes hormone levels and increases subjective feelings of power and confidence. Self-perception theory, developed by psychologist Darrell Bain, suggests that we come to know ourselves partly by observing our own behavior, just as we would observe someone else's behavior to understand them. What all these scientific perspectives share with Stoic philosophy is the recognition that identity is not fixed, but fluid, shaped continuously by our choices and actions. The distinction between fake it till you make it and Stoic acting as if. It's important to distinguish the Stoic approach from the popular advice to fake it till you make it. The difference is profound. Faking it often implies pretense or deception, presenting an image that doesn't match your inner reality. It focuses on appearances rather than substance. The Stoic approach of acting as if is about authentic alignment with your highest values and ideal self. It's not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about recognizing who you truly are at your best and living from that place. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Whatever anyone does or says, I must be good." This wasn't about presenting a facade of goodness, but about recognizing his essential nature and acting in accordance with it, regardless of circumstances. The Stoic approach might better be described as practice until it becomes nature. Just as a musician practices scales until they become second nature, we practice virtuous actions until they become our default response. The role of premeditatio malorum, premeditation of adversity. A key Stoic technique related to acting as if is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. This involves mentally rehearsing challenges before they occur and visualizing yourself responding with virtue and equanimity. Seneca described this practice. He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. By anticipating difficulties, you prepare yourself to meet them with the character of a successful person. This isn't negative thinking or pessimism. It's pragmatic preparation. just as an athlete visualizes both the ideal performance and potential obstacles. The Stoic mentally rehearses virtuous responses to life's challenges. Modern psychology confirms the value of this approach through research on implementation intentions, specific plans for how you'll act in anticipated situations. Studies show that people who form implementation intentions are significantly more likely to follow through on their intentions than those who merely state their goals. The internal audience. Character as performance. The Stoics often use theatrical metaphors to describe our role in life. Epictetus compared life to a play, saying, "Remember that you are an actor in a play, which is as the playwright wants it to be, for this is your business, to act well the part that is given to you. But to select the part belongs to another." This doesn't suggest inauthenticity, but rather recognizes that we all play roles as parents, professionals, citizens, friends, and our task is to play these roles with excellence and integrity. Unlike modern celebrities who might adopt a persona for external validation, the Stoic performs primarily for an audience of oneself. As Seneca wrote, "I do not care what others think of what I do, but I care very much about what I think of myself." This internal audience, your own rational faculty and moral sense, is far more demanding than any external judge. It asks not, do I appear successful, but am I embodying the virtues that constitute true success? Practical examples of acting as if in daily life. Let's make this principle concrete with some examples. The aspiring leader who takes responsibility and shows initiative before being given authority. The writer who establishes disciplined writing habits before publishing success. The entrepreneur who operates with professionalism and excellence from day one, not waiting for growth. The person seeking relationship success who practices being a thoughtful partner even when single. The individual working toward financial success who manages their current resources with wisdom and restraint. In each case, the person isn't pretending to have achieved external markers of success, but is embodying the character, habits, and values of their successful self now. The feedback loop between identity and action. When you act as if you're already successful, in the Stoic sense of embodying virtue and excellence, you create a powerful feedback loop. Your actions align with your highest values. You observe yourself acting virtuously. Your self-perception shifts. Your identity as a successful person strengthens. Your actions further align with this identity. This is what psychologists call a positive feedback loop, where each element reinforces the others, creating momentum toward your desired state of being. The cognitive dissonance that might initially arise from acting beyond your current self-image, who am I to act this way, gradually resolves as your self-image expands to incorporate your new behaviors. Distinguishing success character from success circumstances. Throughout this process, it's crucial to maintain the Stoic distinction between success character and success circumstances. Success character is within your control and available immediately. The virtues, attitudes, and actions that constitute excellence. Success circumstances, wealth, recognition, achievement, may follow but are not guaranteed and not the true measure of success. By focusing on developing success character, you not only increase the likelihood of achieving success circumstances, as virtue often leads to external rewards, but ensure that you'll be equipped to handle those circumstances well if they come. As we transition to the next section on specific Stoic techniques, remember this fundamental Stoic principle. You already possess everything needed for success, your rational faculty and capacity for virtue. As Seneca put it, that which is enough is ready to our hands. Brief musical interlude. Part 3. Stoic techniques for embodying success. Now that we understand the psychological principles behind acting as if, let's explore specific Stoic techniques for embodying success before it manifests externally. These practices have stood the test of time for over 2 millennia and can be readily applied to modern life. Role modeling. The Stoic practice of exemplars. The Stoics placed great emphasis on identifying and emulating worthy role models. Seneca advised, "We need to set our affections on some good person and keep him constantly before our eyes so that we may live as if he were watching us and do everything as if he saw what we were doing." This wasn't about hero worship or imitation, but about having concrete examples of virtue in action. By studying how these exemplars embodied wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, We learn to recognize these qualities and develop them ourselves. Modern research supports this approach. Social learning theory, pioneered by psychologist Albert Bandura, demonstrates that we learn complex behaviors most effectively by observing models. When we see others embodying success in the Stoic sense of virtuous living, we gain both motivation and practical insight for our own journey. To practice this technique, identify people, historical or contemporary, who embody the virtues you wish to develop. Study their lives, writings, and actions in detail. When facing challenges, ask yourself, how would this person respond? Create a mental council of these exemplars to consult in difficult situations. Marcus Aurelius begins his meditations by listing the virtues he learned from various role models: gratitude from his grandfather, modesty from his father, piety from his mother, and so on. This practice of identifying specific virtues in others helps us recognize and cultivate those same qualities in ourselves. Morning preparation and evening reflection. The Stoics recommended bookending each day with intentional practices that reinforce your commitment to virtue. Morning preparation involves setting intentions for the day and mentally rehearsing how you'll embody virtue in anticipated situations. Epictetus taught his students, when you're going to meet with anyone, especially those in high positions, set before your mind what Socrates or Zeno would have done in such circumstances. Evening reflection involves reviewing your day, noting where you succeeded in living according to your values and where you fell short. Seneca described this practice. I will keep watch of myself continually, and a most useful habit, will review my day when the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent. Aware of this habit that's now mine, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. This practice creates accountability to yourself and accelerates your growth by converting experiences into wisdom. By consistently identifying instances where you embodied success or failed to, you reinforce your success identity and correct course where needed. Memento mori. Remember your mortality. One of the most powerful Stoic practices for embodying success is memento mori, remembering that you are mortal, far from being morbid. This awareness of life's brevity helps clarify what true success means and motivates virtuous action now rather than someday. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. When we recognize that time is finite, we're less likely to postpone living according to our values or to waste energy on trivial concerns. This practice cuts through procrastination and perfectionism, two common obstacles to embodying success. If today might be your last, you'll focus on what truly matters, acting with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance in this moment. Practical ways to implement memento mori include keeping a symbolic reminder of mortality, traditionally a skull, on your desk, setting a periodic reminder on your phone asking, if this was my last day, would I be proud of how I'm living it? Beginning each morning by acknowledging life's brevity and setting priorities accordingly. Regularly asking yourself, what would I regret not doing or becoming if my time ended soon? Premeditatio malorum. Rehearsing challenges. We touched on this earlier, but it deserves deeper exploration. Premeditatio malorum, premeditation of adversity, involves mentally rehearsing challenges before they occur and visualizing yourself responding with the character of a successful person. Seneca advised, set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared? This practice serves multiple functions. It builds resilience by reducing the shock when difficulties arise. It creates mental pathways for virtuous responses to challenges. It reduces anxiety by confronting fears directly. It cultivates gratitude by highlighting how much worse things could be. To practice premeditation of adversity, identify potential challenges related to your goals. Vividly imagine these scenarios unfolding. Mentally rehearse responding with virtue, patience, courage, wisdom, and justice. Recognize that your worth doesn't depend on external outcomes. When you've mentally rehearsed remaining virtuous even when plans fail, You're prepared to maintain your success identity regardless of circumstances. View from above. Cosmic perspective. The view from above is a Stoic contemplative exercise that involves mentally zooming out to gain perspective on your situation. Marcus Aurelius practiced this regularly. Think of the universal substance, of which you have a small portion, and of universal time, of which a short and indivisible interval has been assigned to you, and of the destiny, of which yours is a small fraction. This cosmic perspective helps us maintain proper proportions, to see both our challenges and conventional markers of success in the context of a vast universe. When we recognize our place in the grand scheme, we're less likely to be overwhelmed by setbacks or inflated by achievements. The view from above cultivates what psychologists call self-transcendence, the ability to see beyond our immediate concerns to something larger. This perspective is consistently associated with greater well-being, purpose, and pro-social behavior, all elements of success in the Stoic sense. Negative visualization. Premeditation. Closely related to premeditation of adversity is the practice of negative visualization, imagining the loss of things you value. While this might sound pessimistic, it actually cultivates appreciation and psychological resilience. Epictetus advised, when giving your child or wife a kiss, say to yourself, I am kissing a mortal. This isn't to create anxiety, but to heighten appreciation for what we have while we have it, and prepare us to accept loss with equanimity when it comes. Modern research confirms the value of this practice. Studies on mental subtraction, imagining life without positive events or people, show that it significantly increases happiness and gratitude compared to simply thinking about the positive aspects of life. By periodically contemplating the loss of what you value, you deepen gratitude for what you currently have, reduce anxiety about potential losses, break the hedonic adaptation that makes us take good fortune for granted. Prepare yourself to face actual losses with dignity. Voluntary discomfort. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, deliberately experiencing physical or social discomfort to strengthen resilience and reduce attachment to comfort. Seneca, despite his wealth, regularly practiced periods of voluntary poverty, writing, set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared? This practice builds what modern psychologists call psychological hardiness, the ability to thrive under stress. It demonstrates to yourself that you can function well without comforts that many consider essential to success. Practical forms of voluntary discomfort might include fasting for a day or limiting yourself to simple foods, taking cold showers, sleeping on the floor occasionally, dressing simply when you could dress luxuriously, practicing periods of silence or solitude, walking instead of driving, temporarily abstaining from pleasures you normally enjoy. Each of these practices demonstrates that your well-being and success identity don't depend on external comforts. This freedom from dependency is itself a form of success from a Stoic perspective. The discipline of assent. Mastering your judgments. Central to Stoic practice is the discipline of assent, the mindful evaluation of impressions before accepting or rejecting them. Epictetus taught, make it your study then to confront every harsh impression with the words, you are but an impression and not at all what you seem to be. This practice is especially relevant to our topic because so many of our struggles with success involve accepting harmful judgments. My worth depends on achievement. Other success diminishes mine. I'll never be successful because of circumstance. This setback proves I'm a failure. The discipline of assent teaches us to question these judgments rather than automatically accepting them. When a thought arises suggesting you're not successful unless you achieve X, the practice involves pausing to ask, is this judgment within my control? Does it align with virtue and nature? Is it necessary for my well-being? Would the sage I aspire to be accept this judgment? By mastering your judgments about success, you free yourself from the tyranny of external markers and create space to focus on what's truly within your control, your character and actions. Practical integration into daily life. These Stoic practices are most powerful when integrated into daily life rather than treated as occasional exercises. Consider establishing a simple routine. Morning. Set intentions for embodying success character today. Visualize potential challenges and your virtuous response. Remind yourself of your mortality to prioritize what matters. Throughout the day, practice the discipline of assent with success-related judgments. Periodically, adopt the view from above for perspective. Consult your inner council of exemplars when facing decisions. Review your day, noting where you embodied success character. Identify opportunities for improvement tomorrow. Express gratitude for progress made and lessons learned. The key is consistency. As Aristotle, whom the Stoics often quoted, observed, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. By turning these practices into habits, you create a life that embodies success from the inside out, a life of virtue, purpose, and tranquility regardless of external circumstances. Part 4. Overcoming challenges to the success mindset. The path of acting as if you're already successful, in the Stoic sense of embodying virtue, inevitably encounters obstacles. Let's explore these challenges and how Stoic philosophy helps us overcome them. Dealing with setbacks and failures. Even when we act with perfect virtue, external outcomes often disappoint. Projects fail, relationships end, opportunities vanish. These moments test our success identity and can trigger reversion to old patterns of thought. The Stoic response to setbacks is multifaceted. First, remember the dichotomy of control. Epictetus taught, some things are within our control, while others are not. You can control your efforts, intentions, and responses, but not all outcomes. Judging your success by what's beyond your control guarantees suffering. Second, view setbacks as training grounds for virtue. As Seneca observed, disaster is virtue's opportunity. Challenges reveal our character and strengthen it, just as resistance builds muscle. The successful person in Stoic terms doesn't avoid difficulties, but uses them to develop excellence. Third, practice a more fatty love of fate. Marcus Aurelius advised, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. But do so with all your heart. By embracing rather than merely enduring what happens, you transform potential suffering into growth. Fourth, extract the lesson from every failure. Epictetus taught that every challenge carries two handles, one by which it can be borne, another by which it cannot. The handle of learning allows you to carry any setback productively. Consider how Thomas Edison responded to the destruction of his laboratory by fire in 1914, causing damage exceeding $1 million, over $25 million in today's terms. Although I am over 67 years old, I'll start all over again tomorrow. He reportedly told his son, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." The next morning, Edison surveyed the ruins and said, "There's great value in disaster. All our mistakes are burned up. Thank God we can start anew." This exemplifies the Stoic response to setback, not denial or suppression, but clear-eyed assessment followed by renewed virtuous action. Navigating impostor syndrome. When you begin acting as if you're already successful, you may encounter impostor syndrome, the feeling that you're fraudulent and will eventually be exposed. This is especially common when your new behaviors don't yet feel natural. The Stoic perspective offers several antidotes. First, recognize that everyone is a work in progress. Seneca acknowledged, "I'm not a wise man, and I never will be." Even the Stoic sages considered themselves perpetual students of wisdom. What matters is not perfection, but direction and effort. Second, distinguish between healthy humility and debilitating self-doubt. Humility recognizes areas for improvement. Self-doubt questions your fundamental capacity for growth. The former serves progress. The latter hinders it. Third, focus on actions rather than identity labels. Instead of asking, "Am I really successful?" ask, "Am I acting in accordance with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance right now?" The latter question is always answerable through present action. Fourth, remember that genuine success in Stoic terms doesn't depend on credentials, experience, or external validation. As Epictetus taught, even a slave can be free in mind and therefore successful in what truly matters. Modern research on impostor syndrome reveals it's most common among high achievers, precisely those with the capacity for excellence. By recognizing these feelings as normal growing pains rather than warning signs, you can acknowledge them without being governed by them. Maintaining authenticity. A common concern about acting as if is that it might lead to inauthenticity, pretending to be someone you're not. This concern misunderstands both authenticity and the Stoic approach. True authenticity isn't about expressing whatever you happen to feel in the moment. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest values and highest potential. As the philosopher Aristo of Chios, a contemporary of Zeno, Stoicism's founder, said, "The end of all liberal studies is this, that we may become good." The Stoics recognized that humans naturally aspire to virtue, even when we fall short in practice. Acting in accordance with virtue isn't pretense. It's expressing your authentic nature as a rational being capable of excellence. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This commitment to truth and rightness is the essence of authenticity from a Stoic perspective. When you feel tension between your current habits and your aspirations, remember that growth always involves some discomfort. The caterpillar might feel inauthentic in the chrysalis, but transformation requires temporary unfamiliarity. Maintaining consistency without perfectionism. Consistency in practicing virtue is essential, but perfectionism can undermine progress. The Stoics advocated constant improvement without expecting flawless performance. Epictetus acknowledged the reality of setbacks. If you have assumed a character above your strength, you have both played a poor figure in that and neglected one that is within your powers. His point wasn't to aim low, but to progress steadily rather than expecting immediate perfection. Seneca likewise advised, "Let us be satisfied with whatever we can get. Let us look on whatever happens as neither good nor bad, but simply as what happens." Modern psychology confirms that self-compassion outperforms self-criticism in motivating continuous improvement. By treating lapses as information rather than indictments, you maintain momentum toward your ideal. Practical approaches to consistency without perfectionism include focusing on trends rather than individual instances, celebrating progress while acknowledging room for growth, having contingency plans for when you fall short, using setbacks as opportunities to strengthen your commitment. As Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. Consistency develops not by avoiding mistakes, but by responding to them with renewed commitment to virtue. Managing social resistance. When you begin embodying success before external markers appear, you may encounter resistance from others. Friends, family, or colleagues might question your new behaviors or try to pull you back to familiar patterns. The Stoics were well aware of social pressure and offered guidance for navigating it. First, choose your social environment carefully. Seneca advised, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving." The process is a mutual one. Men learn as they teach. Maintaining long-term perspective. Perhaps the greatest challenge to the success mindset is maintaining it over the long term. Initial enthusiasm gives way to the daily grind. Results don't materialize as quickly as hoped. New distractions emerge. The Stoics recognized the importance of long-term thinking. First, they emphasized that virtue is a lifelong practice, not a destination. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." This perspective transforms obstacles from discouraging setbacks into expected parts of the journey. Second, they recommended regular renewal of intention. Daily practices like morning preparation and evening reflection continuously refresh your commitment to virtue. Third, they advocated periodic retreats for deeper reflection. Seneca advised we should take wandering outdoor walks so that the mind might be nourished and refreshed by the open air and deep breathing. These breaks from routine allow you to reconnect with your fundamental values. Fourth, they emphasize progress over perfection. As Epictetus observed, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. By maintaining this long-term perspective, You recognize that acting as if you're already successful is not a technique to achieve conventional success, but a lifelong practice of living in accordance with your highest nature. Brief musical interlude. Part 5. Integrating the success mindset into daily life. Understanding Stoic principles and techniques is valuable, but true transformation comes from integrating them into daily life. Let's explore practical ways to embody the success mindset in various domains of modern living. Morning ritual. Setting the foundation. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. The Stoics place great emphasis on morning practices that orient the mind toward virtue. Marcus Aurelius began his days with a series of reminders about human nature and his duties, writing, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for?" A modern Stoic morning ritual might include perspective reminder. Begin by placing the day in cosmic context. You are one person on a planet of billions, living a brief moment in vast time. This reduces anxiety about daily concerns. Values clarification. Briefly review your core values and how you intend to express them today. Today, I will embody wisdom by thinking before speaking, courage by addressing the difficult conversation, justice by giving proper attention to others, and temperance by moderating my reactions. Obstacle anticipation. Identify potential challenges and visualize responding virtuously. I may face criticism in my presentation. I'll respond with openness to legitimate feedback while maintaining confidence in my preparation. Mortality reminder. Acknowledge that this day is not guaranteed to anyone. As Seneca wrote, let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. This entire ritual need not take more than 5 to 10 minutes, but can fundamentally shift how you approach the day, from reacting to circumstances to proactively embodying your success identity. Professional life. Success beyond achievement. Work occupies a central place in most people's lives and often serves as a primary arena for defining success. How can you apply Stoic principles in your professional life? First, clarify your purpose beyond compensation or advancement. Marcus Aurelius asked himself, at every moment keep a sturdy mind on the task at hand, as a Roman and human being, doing it with strict and simple dignity, affection, freedom, and justice. What is the service or contribution at the heart of your work? Second, focus on what's within your control, your effort, integrity, and attitudes, rather than outcomes like recognition, promotion, or specific results. Epictetus reminded his students, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Third, treat obstacles as opportunities for virtue. When facing workplace challenges, ask, how can this difficulty showcase my patience, creativity, perseverance, or fairness? As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Fourth, maintain proper perspective on professional setbacks and successes. Neither defines your worth or happiness. As Seneca observed, the wise person can lose nothing, for he has everything lodged in himself. Nothing does he entrust to fortune. His own goods are secure, since he is content with virtue, which needs no gift from chance. Finally, remember that even the highest professional achievements mean little without character. As Seneca, who reached the Roman Senate, wrote, what's the use of having countless books and libraries whose titles their owners can hardly read through in a lifetime? The learner is not taught, but burdened by the mass of information, and it is better to plant a few seeds than to scatter many. Relationships. Connection through virtue. Relationships often reveal whether our success identity is authentic or merely performance. How do Stoic principles apply to our connections with others? Begin with the Stoic understanding that humans are naturally social creatures. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, we were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the 2 rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. From this foundation, several principles emerge. First, value character over status in your associations. Epictetus advised, above all, keep a close watch on this, that you are never so tied to your former acquaintances and friends that you are pulled down to their level. If you don't, you'll be ruined. You must choose whether to be loved by these friends and remain the same person, or to become better and not to be loved. Second, practice genuine listening rather than waiting to speak. As Zeno of Citium, Stoicism's founder, observed, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say. Success in relationships comes not from impressing others, but from understanding them. Third, respond to wrongs with justice rather than anger. Marcus Aurelius advised, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When others act poorly, maintain your own standards rather than descending to theirs. Fourth, practice philanthropia, love of humanity, even with difficult people. Marcus reminded himself, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. Finally, remember that relationships provide our greatest arena for practicing virtue. Seneca wrote, no one can live happily who has regard for himself alone and transforms everything into a question of his own advantage. You must live for others if you wish to live for yourself. Financial life. Prosperity with perspective. Money often serves as the primary measure of success in modern society. How can you maintain a Stoic perspective on financial matters? The Stoics weren't opposed to wealth. Seneca was one of Rome's richest men, but viewed it as a preferred indifferent, something pleasant to have, but not essential for eudaimonia flourishing. A Stoic approach to finances includes, first, distinguish between needs and wants. Epictetus taught, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. By moderating desires, rather than constantly expanding means, you create financial tranquility regardless of circumstances. Second, view wealth as a tool for virtue rather than an end in itself. Seneca wrote, the wise man regards wealth as a slave, the fool as a master. Money well used amplifies your ability to practice wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Third, prepare for financial reversals. Seneca advised, set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared? By regularly practicing simplicity, you realize your well-being doesn't depend on affluence. Fourth, avoid comparison with others' financial status. As Seneca observed, it is not the man who is too little, but the man who craves more who is poor. True prosperity comes from appreciating what you have rather than focusing on what others possess. Finally, remember that character remains when fortunes change. As Epictetus, who experienced both slavery and respect as a teacher, noted, a man's master is he who is able to confer or remove whatever that man seeks or shuns. Whoever then wishes to be free, let him neither wish for anything nor avoid anything which depends on others. If he does not, he will necessarily be a slave. Physical health. The body as instrument. The Stoics recognized physical health as valuable, though secondary to mental well-being. They viewed the body not as a display object, but as an instrument for virtuous action. Musonius Rufus, known as the Roman Socrates, taught, we must train both soul and body, the soul for activities of the soul, the body for activities of the body, since neither can be effective in the activities that belong to both if untrained in their own. A Stoic approach to physical health might include, first, value functionality over appearance. Exercise and nutrition serve to make the body a reliable instrument for virtuous action, not primarily to achieve aesthetic ideals. Second, practice temperance in physical pleasures. Musonius advised moderation in food, noting that we should eat to live, not live to eat. This doesn't mean asceticism, but mindful enjoyment without excess. Third, accept the body's natural aging and limitations. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, the flesh that encloses me absorbs my attention no more than the potter's clay absorbs the attention of the potter, or bronze the attention of the bronze founder. We care for our bodies without over-identifying with them. Fourth, develop resilience through voluntary discomfort. Regular exposure to physical challenges, cold, hunger, fatigue, builds both physical and mental toughness. As Seneca observed, a man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is. What I advise you to do is not to be unhappy before the crisis comes. Finally, remember that even physical limitations can become opportunities for virtue. As Epictetus, who walked with a limp from a broken leg, taught, disease is an impediment to the body, but not to the will, unless the will itself chooses. Lameness is an impediment to the leg, but not to the will. Digital life, virtue in the virtual world. The ancient Stoics couldn't have imagined our digital environment, but their principles apply remarkably well to this modern domain. A Stoic approach to digital life might include, first, practice intentional attention. Marcus Aurelius advised, give yourself a gift, the present moment. In a world designed to capture and monetize attention, consciously directing your focus becomes a radical act of autonomy. Second, maintain perspective on social media. Epictetus might remind us, if anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, he was ignorant of my other faults, else he would have mentioned those also. Online criticism and praise are equally beyond your control. Third, cultivate digital temperance. Just as the Stoics advised moderation in physical pleasures, moderate consumption of digital content prevents the mind from becoming overwhelmed and scattered. Fourth, practice periodic digital fasts. Seneca wrote about the value of voluntary simplicity. Set aside certain days on which you shall withdraw from your business and devote yourself to becoming familiar with poverty. Similarly, regular breaks from digital immersion restore perspective and agency. Finally, use digital tools for virtue rather than distraction. Technology can amplify wisdom through access to knowledge, justice through support of worthy causes, courage through connection with supportive communities, and temperance through apps that promote mindfulness. Leisure time, recreation with purpose. The Stoics recognized the importance of rest and recreation, but viewed leisure as an opportunity for renewal rather than mere escapism. Seneca wrote, we must indulge the mind and from time to time give it the leisure that serves as its food and strength. But he distinguished between refreshing leisure and idle busyness. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. A Stoic approach to leisure might include, first, choose activities that restore rather than deplete. Ask whether your leisure leaves you energized and clear-headed or drained and foggy. Second, engage in recreation that develops virtue. Activities that build patience, concentration, cooperation, or appreciation of beauty serve double duty. They refresh while strengthening character. Third, practice mindful presence in leisure. As Epictetus observed, on no occasion call yourself a philosopher, nor talk at large of your principles among the multitude, but act on your principles. True enjoyment comes not from documenting or sharing experiences, but from fully inhabiting them. Fourth, balance solitude and social connection. Seneca valued both. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving. The process is a mutual one. Men learn as they teach. But he also noted, whenever people are in a crowd, they are also in an alien state of mind. Finally, remember that even in relaxation, character remains. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, manage all your actions, words, and thoughts accordingly, since you may at any moment quit life. Creating a personal success philosophy. As we conclude this section on practical integration, consider crafting your own personal success philosophy, a concise statement of what success means to you in Stoic terms. This philosophy might address your definition of success based on character rather than circumstances, the core virtues you seek to embody, how you'll respond to setbacks and challenges, your approach to external achievements and recognition, your commitment to ongoing growth and learning. Regularly reviewing this philosophy keeps your focus on true success rather than cultural substitutes. As Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Part 6. Sustaining the success mindset for the long term. Adopting a Stoic success mindset isn't a one-time event, but a lifelong practice. In this final section, we'll explore how to sustain this philosophy through various life seasons and challenges. The Stoic practice of prokopton, making progress. The ancient Stoics used the term prokopton, one who is making progress, to describe the ongoing journey of philosophical development. They recognized that becoming a sage, the ideal of perfect virtue, was extremely rare. What mattered was continuous progress. Seneca likened philosophical progress to recovery from illness. I am not yet sound, and I may never be. I am treating myself, not as one who is sound, but as one who is less sick than before. This perspective liberates us from perfectionism while maintaining high aspirations. The question isn't, have I achieved success? But, am I making progress in embodying virtue today? Practical approaches to prokopton include celebrating progress without claiming perfection, using setbacks as feedback rather than failure, focusing on trends rather than individual instances, maintaining beginner's mind even as you advance. As Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. Creating supportive environments. The environment shapes behavior more powerfully than most people realize. The Stoics understood this, emphasizing the importance of curating influences. Seneca advised, associate with those who will make a better person of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. The process is mutual, for people learn while they teach. To create environments that support your success mindset. Physical space. Arrange your home and workspace to minimize distractions and maximize focus on what matters. Consider what a visitor would conclude about your values based on your environment. Social circle. Be intentional about who influences your thinking. As Epictetus observed, if you lay out with wolves, you had better know how to howl. Seek relationships with those who understand and support virtue-based success. Media diet. Monitor what information you consume. Does it reinforce materialistic notions of success or support your Stoic perspective? As Marcus Aurelius advised himself, take away the judgment, and you have taken away the I am hurt. Take away the I am hurt, and the injury disappears. Digital environment. Curate your online experience to support rather than undermine your values. Unfollow accounts that trigger comparison or materialism. Seek content that elevates your thinking. Natural exposure. Spend time in nature regularly. As Seneca wrote, we should take wandering outdoor walks so that the mind might be nourished and refreshed by the open air and deep breathing. Natural settings provide perspective that urban environments often lack. The role of community in sustaining success. While Stoicism emphasizes internal resources, the philosophers also recognized the importance of community in sustaining virtue. The original Stoics gathered in the Stoa Poikile painted porch in Athens to discuss philosophy and support each other's practice. Similarly, Marcus Aurelius acknowledged his debt to others. To the gods I owe having good grandparents, good parents, a good sister, good teachers, good associates, good kinsmen and friends, nearly everything good. Modern research confirms that behavior change is more sustainable in supportive communities. Those attempting to embody a new definition of success benefit enormously from connection with like-minded others. Ways to create or join supportive community include finding local Stoic meetup groups or philosophy discussions, joining online communities focused on practical philosophy, creating a success circle of friends committed to similar values, participating in retreats or workshops on Stoic practice, engaging with authors and teachers whose work aligns with your philosophy. As Seneca observed, no one can live happily who has regard for himself alone and transforms everything into a question of his own advantage. You must live for others if you wish to live for yourself. The practice of philosophical journaling. Writing was central to Stoic practice. Marcus Aurelius's meditations were personal notes never intended for publication. Seneca's letters to Lucilius combined diary-like reflection with philosophical guidance. Modern research confirms the value of reflective writing. Studies show that regular journaling improves mental health, clarifies thinking, and aids in maintaining commitments. A Stoic success journal might include daily reflections on how you embodied or failed to embody virtue. documentation of progress over time, responses to challenging situations, and lessons learned, quotes and ideas that strengthen your success philosophy, gratitude for opportunities to practice virtue. The format matters less than the consistency. As Epictetus taught, every day and night keep thoughts like these at hand. Write them, read them aloud, talk to yourself and others about them. Periodic retreats and deep reflection. While daily practices sustain momentum, periodic, deeper reflection accelerates growth. The Stoics recommended regular retreats from ordinary life for philosophical contemplation. Seneca wrote, "We should take wandering outdoor walks so that the mind might be nourished and refreshed by the open air and deep breathing." Contemporary research on adult development confirms that transformative growth often requires stepping out of routine to gain perspective on our lives and values. Types of retreats might include formal philosophical retreats with teachers and community, self-directed solitude in nature, silent meditation retreats, weekend philosophy workshops, personal quarterly reviews in a changed environment. During these retreats, focus on fundamental questions. How am I defining and pursuing success? Where am I making progress in virtue? What obstacles repeatedly challenge my success mindset? How might I refine my philosophy based on recent experiences? As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, people seek retreats for themselves in the country, by the sea, or in the mountains. But this is altogether unphilosophical when it is possible for you to retreat into yourself at any time you want. Teaching and mentoring as advanced practice. Teaching what you're learning accelerates your own growth. As Seneca observed, people learn while they teach. When you articulate the success philosophy you're developing, you clarify your understanding and strengthen your commitment. Ways to incorporate teaching include mentoring someone interested in philosophical approaches to success, starting a discussion group around Stoic principles, writing about your journey and insights, sharing what you're learning with friends and family, leading by example in your organization. Teaching doesn't require expertise, only honesty about your own ongoing process. As Epictetus advised, on no occasion call yourself a philosopher, nor talk at large of your principles among the multitude, but act on your principles. Your lived example speaks more powerfully than any lecture. Adapting the success mindset through life transitions. Life inevitably brings transitions, career changes, relationships beginning and ending, health challenges, aging, and more. Each transition tests and potentially strengthens your success philosophy. The Stoics faced dramatic transitions. Seneca was exiled and later forced to commit suicide. Epictetus went from slave to renowned teacher. Marcus Aurelius lost children and faced constant war. Their writings offer guidance for maintaining your success mindset through changes. First, remember that external change doesn't alter what's most important. As Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Second, view transitions as opportunities to practice different virtues. A career change tests courage. A relationship ending tests equilibrium. Aging tests acceptance. Each circumstance invites specific expressions of character. Third, maintain core practices even as their form changes. Morning reflection might shorten during a busy season, but remain essential. Physical practice might adapt to changing abilities while continuing to serve vitality. Fourth, expect your understanding of success to mature. What satisfied you in early adulthood may feel hollow in midlife. What motivated you in midlife may shift in later years. The core virtues remain, but their expression evolves. As Heraclitus, whom the Stoics often quoted, observed, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." Your success philosophy should be living wisdom, not rigid dogma. Legacy. Success beyond the self. As we conclude our exploration, consider how the Stoic success mindset extends beyond your individual life. The Stoics viewed humans as part of a larger whole, the cosmic city or cosmopolis, with responsibilities to the human community. Marcus Aurelius wrote, We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. A mature success philosophy considers legacy, how your embodiment of virtue might benefit others beyond yourself. This doesn't mean external achievement or recognition, but the ripple effects of living well. Your legacy might include how your example influences others around you, wisdom you share through teaching or mentoring, contributions to community or causes aligned with justice, creative works that embody and express virtue, the overall quality of life you bring to your interactions. Seneca observed, if you want to live for your own benefit, you must live for the benefit of others. The paradox of Stoic success is that self-development ultimately transcends the self, contributing to human flourishing more broadly. Final thoughts. Success as a way of being. We've covered extensive ground in our exploration of acting, as if you're already successful from a Stoic perspective. As we conclude, let's return to our core insight. Success is not something to achieve someday, but a way of being available now. True success lies in living virtuously, with wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, regardless of external circumstances. When you act from these virtues, you are already successful in what matters most. This doesn't mean ignoring goals or abandoning ambition. Rather, it means recognizing that the quality of your character in pursuing those goals is the true measure of success, not whether you ultimately achieve them. As Epictetus taught, don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace. The invitation of Stoic philosophy is to locate your sense of success in what no person or circumstance can take from you. Your capacity to think clearly, act virtuously, and contribute to the common good. When your success identity rests on this foundation, external achievements become opportunities to express virtue rather than prerequisites for feeling successful. Setbacks become opportunities to demonstrate resilience rather than indictments of your worth. The path of acting as if you're already successful, in this deeper Stoic sense, is challenging but infinitely rewarding. It offers not just achievement, but flourishing. Not just admiration, but self-respect. Not just acquisition, but true prosperity of spirit. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, never expecting others to read his words, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for? May you approach each day with this spirit, not waiting to become successful someday, but recognizing that by living virtuously now, you already embody the deepest form of success available to any human being. Music fades in. Thank you for sharing this journey through Stoic wisdom. Remember that philosophy is not merely to be understood, but lived. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. May your life become the ultimate expression of success properly understood. Music fades out. References and further reading. Primary Stoic texts. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Gregory Hayes translation recommended. Epictetus, Enchiridion and Discourses. Robin Hart translation recommended. Seneca, Letters from a Stoic and on the Shortness of Life. Musonius Rufus, Lectures and Sayings. Cicero on Duties and on Ends. Modern books on Stoicism. Pierre Haddad, The Inner Citadel. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. William B. Irvine, A Guide to the Good Life. The Ancient Art of Stoic Joy. Donald Robertson, How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. The Stoic Philosophy of Marcus Aurelius. Massimo Pigliucci, How to Be a Stoic. Using Ancient Philosophy to Live a Modern Life. Ryan Holiday, The Obstacle is the Way. The Timeless Art of Turning Trials into Triumph. Nancy Sherman, Stoic Warriors. The Ancient Philosophy Behind the Military Mind. Psychology and Success Mindset. Carol Dweck, Mindset. The New Psychology of Success. Angela Duckworth, Grit. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Martin Seligman, Learned Optimism. How to Change Your Mind and Your Life. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Robert Cialdini, Influence. The Psychology of Persuasion. Philosophy of Success. Alain de Botton, Status Anxiety. Charles Taylor, The Ethics of Authenticity. Aristotle, Nicomachean Ethics. Bertrand Russell, The Conquest of Happiness. Martha Nussbaum, The Therapy of Desire. Theory and Practice in Hellenistic Ethics. The Stoics strongly cautioned against this tendency toward pride. Marcus Aurelius regularly reminded himself of his fallibility. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil. But I have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. This recognition of shared humanity is central to Stoic practice. True success in Stoic terms includes justice, treating others with fairness and compassion. Arrogance violates this virtue by placing ourselves above others. Practical approaches to maintaining humility include regular reflection on your own mistakes and areas for growth, acknowledging your debt to others who have taught or supported you, recognizing that virtue is its own reward, requiring no special recognition, remembering that any talents or advantages you possess are not your doing. As Epictetus observed, it is impossible to begin to learn that which one thinks one already knows. By maintaining a beginner's mindset, regardless of your progress, you create space for continued growth, balancing acceptance and ambition. Stoicism emphasizes accepting what we cannot change while taking action on what we can. This creates a potential tension. How do we reconcile ambitious striving with Stoic acceptance? The resolution lies in understanding what the Stoics actually meant by acceptance. It wasn't passive resignation, but clear-eyed assessment followed by appropriate action. Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Ambitious goals are compatible with Stoicism when they focus on excellence of character rather than external outcomes alone. They acknowledge the role of factors beyond our control. They are pursued with virtue rather than at the expense of it. They are held lightly rather than clung to desperately. Marcus Aurelius embodied this balance as emperor, working diligently to fulfill his duties while remaining unattached to results beyond his control. His meditations are filled with reminders to act with purpose but without grasping. Do what nature now requires. Set yourself in motion if it is in your power, and do not look about you to see if anyone will observe it, nor yet expect Plato's Republic. But be content if the smallest thing goes on well, and consider such an event to be no small matter. This balanced approach, sometimes called Stoic activism, combines purposeful action with equanimity toward outcomes. Brief musical interlude. Part 5. Sustaining the success mindset for the long term. Adopting a Stoic success mindset isn't a one-time decision, but an ongoing practice. Let's explore how to sustain this approach throughout life's changing circumstances, creating daily routines and rituals. The Stoics recognized that philosophy must be embodied in daily habits to transform character. As Epictetus put it, these are the things which philosophers should meditate on, which they should write daily, in which they should exercise themselves. Effective routines for sustaining the success mindset include morning preparation. Set intentions for embodying virtues today. Visualize potential challenges and your virtuous response. Review your definition of true success, excellence of character. Midday pause. Briefly assess your morning's alignment with virtue. Reset intentions for the afternoon. Practice the view from above for perspective. Evening reflection. Review instances where you embodied success character. Note areas for improvement without harsh judgment. Express gratitude for opportunities to practice virtue. Regular renewal practices. Weekly deeper review of progress and challenges. Monthly reading of Stoic texts for inspiration. Quarterly retreats for extended reflection. These routines create a scaffold for continuous growth, preventing the success mindset from being overwhelmed by daily pressures and distractions. Community and accountability. While Stoicism emphasizes internal resources, the Stoics themselves formed communities of practice. Epictetus taught in a school. Seneca corresponded with fellow philosophers, and Marcus Aurelius acknowledged his debt to mentors and friends. Today, finding others who share your commitment to character-based success can sustain your practice through challenges. This might involve reading and discussion groups focused on philosophical texts, mentoring relationships with those further along the path, accountability partnerships for regular practice, teaching what you're learning to help others, while reinforcing your own understanding. As Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius, "I'm writing this not for the many, but for you. Each of us is enough of an audience for the other. Even one companion on the journey can make a significant difference." Mindfulness and present moment awareness. Central to sustaining the success mindset is maintaining awareness of the present moment, the only time when virtue can actually be practiced. The Stoics anticipated modern mindfulness practices by emphasizing attention to current experience rather than rumination about past or future. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Confine yourself to the present." Elsewhere he wrote, "Every hour focus your mind attentively on the performance of the task in hand, with dignity, human sympathy, benevolence, and freedom, and leave aside all other thoughts. You will achieve this if you perform each action as if it were your last." This present moment awareness counters the tendency to postpone virtue until some future achievement. Success in Stoic terms is always available now through attention to current choices. Practical approaches to cultivating this awareness include pausing briefly before activities to set an intention for excellence, using environmental cues like doorways as reminders to return to presence, periodically asking, "Am I embodying wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance right now?" Single tasking rather than multitasking to give full attention to each activity. Continuous learning and growth. The Stoic path is one of lifelong learning. No matter how far you progress, there remains more to discover about living virtuously. As Seneca acknowledged, "I am not a wise man, and I never will be." This growth mindset, the recognition that character is always developing rather than fixed, aligns with modern psychological research showing that people who believe qualities can be developed through effort achieve more than those who believe qualities are innate and unchangeable. Approaches to continuous learning include regular reading of philosophical texts, biographies of exemplary individuals, and contemporary works on character development, seeking feedback from trusted others about your blind spots. Deliberate practice of virtues you find most challenging, teaching others, which deepens your own understanding. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Every day and night keep thoughts like these at hand. Write them, read them aloud, talk to yourself and others about them." Adapting to life's changing circumstances. Life inevitably brings changes in circumstances, new roles, relationships, challenges, and opportunities. The success mindset must adapt while maintaining its core principles. The Stoics recognized that different life stages and situations call for different applications of virtue. Epictetus taught, "Remember that you are an actor in a play, which is, as the playwright wants it to be, for this is your business, to act well the part that is given to you." When circumstances change, ask yourself, what does wisdom look like in this new situation? How can I embody justice in this role? What form does courage take here? How should temperance manifest now? By focusing on the underlying virtues rather than specific behaviors, you maintain continuity of character across changing circumstances. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius and the slave Epictetus faced vastly different external conditions, yet both embodied the same core Stoic principles adapted to their situations. Physical well-being as foundation. While the Stoics emphasized the primacy of virtue, they also recognized the role of physical well-being in supporting virtuous action. A healthy body provides the energy and clarity needed to make wise choices and persist in right action. Musonius Rufus, the Roman Socrates, taught, "We need to train both body and mind, since without hard work and exercise, neither the body nor the mind can function at their best." Practices that support physical well-being include regular exercise appropriate to your condition, sufficient rest and recovery, nutritious, moderate eating, time in nature, limited use of substances that cloud judgment. These practices aren't themselves success, but create conditions conducive to the clear thinking and steady energy needed for virtuous living. Periodically refreshing your success vision. As you grow in virtue, your understanding of true success may evolve. What once seemed important may reveal itself as superficial. What you once overlooked may emerge as essential. Regular reflection on your success definition keeps it aligned with your deepest values, rather than default cultural assumptions. Questions for this reflection include: what aspects of my success vision still resonate deeply? Which parts feel externally imposed rather than authentic? How have recent experiences refined my understanding of virtue? What exemplars inspire me now? And what qualities do I admire in them? This reflection isn't about abandoning the Stoic understanding of success as virtue, but about continually deepening your grasp of what virtue means in practice. Finding meaning in contribution. The Stoics emphasize that humans are social beings whose nature includes contributing to the human community. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." This understanding of human interconnection means that true success includes benefiting others, not as a sacrifice of self-interest, but as an expression of our nature as social beings. Ways to embody this aspect of success include identifying how your work contributes meaningfully to others, finding opportunities to mentor and support others' growth, using your developing virtues to address community needs, practicing kindness in daily interactions. As Seneca observed, "No one can live happily who has regard only to himself and transforms everything into a question of his own utility." True success includes living as a contributing member of the human community. Brief musical interlude. Part 6. Bringing it all together. The integrated life of success. We've explored many facets of the Stoic approach to acting as if you're already successful. Now let's integrate these elements into a cohesive philosophy of living. The spiral of growth. How progress builds on itself. The journey of embodying success is not linear, but spiral, returning to similar challenges at progressively higher levels of understanding and capability. What begins as conscious effort gradually becomes second nature, freeing your attention for new growth edges. This spiral pattern appears throughout Stoic writings. Epictetus described 3 stages of philosophical development: learning the principles theory, applying them to specific cases, practice, mastering them so they become part of your character, integration. As each level of understanding becomes integrated, new horizons of growth appear. What once seemed like advanced virtue reveals itself as basic, opening vistas of excellence you couldn't previously imagine. This spiral pattern creates sustainable momentum. Early successes in embodying virtue generate confidence and insight that fuel further growth. As Seneca observed, the acquisition of wisdom occurs by degrees. It's not the case that progress is slow, but rather that the field is immense. Balancing the 4 Stoic virtues. The successful life in Stoic terms involves balance among the 4 cardinal virtues. Wisdom, Sophia, good judgment about what truly matters. Justice, Dike, fairness and service to the human community. Courage, Andrea, fortitude in facing life's challenges. Temperance, Sophia, moderation and self-mastery. Each virtue complements and corrects the others. Courage without wisdom becomes rashness. Justice without temperance becomes fanaticism. Wisdom without courage becomes mere theory. Temperance without justice becomes self-absorption. By attending to all 4 virtues, you create a balanced character capable of excellence in any circumstance. This balance itself constitutes success from the Stoic perspective. Not the perfect embodiment of any single virtue, but the harmonious integration of all, internal success and external achievement. Throughout our exploration, we've emphasized the Stoic focus on internal success, excellence of character, rather than external markers. But does this mean the Stoics discouraged achievement in the world? Not at all. The Stoics were often highly accomplished individuals. Seneca was a successful playwright, philosopher, and political advisor. Marcus Aurelius led the Roman Empire through challenging times. Cato the Younger was renowned for his political courage. Musonius Rufus taught and influenced generations. The Stoic perspective is not that external achievement doesn't matter, but that it matters secondarily and consequentially. When you focus on developing excellence of character, you often achieve external success as a natural result, but without the anxiety, comparison, and insatiability that plague those who pursue external markers directly. As Seneca observed, The wise man looks to the purpose of all actions, not their consequences. Beginnings are in our power, but fortune judges the outcome, and I do not grant her a verdict upon me. This approach creates a virtuous circle. Focus on developing excellence of character. This excellence often, though not always, leads to external achievement. External achievement creates opportunities to practice virtue at larger scales. These opportunities further develop excellence of character. The crucial distinction is that external achievement is welcome but not grasped, appreciated when it comes, accepted when it doesn't, and always secondary to virtue.